Hi everyone, I'm Thao Lan and welcome to another episode of the Lowellian. Today we are joined by our state auditor, Diana DiZoglio. Diana, thank you for joining us today.
Thao, thank you so much for the gracious invitation to be here. I'm really excited to be with the Lowellian and everybody watching and tuning in. No matter where you are, really excited to have the opportunity to share a little bit about myself, the work of our office, some of the exciting things that we have going on. Yes, in the Office of State Auditor, I know folks might wonder what is exciting about auditing, but there's a lot, my friends. So really excited about the opportunity to get to talk to you about that today.
Yeah, so I had said earlier that I am a huge fan of yours, have been since last year, but I didn't know that we had a state auditor and what a state auditor does, and I didn't know that you were local to us here. Can you tell us a little more about your story and your connection to Lowell?
Yeah, welcome to the club. A lot of my friends and family actually local to the Merrimack Valley were actually wondering what position I was running for when I ran for the seat, why I wanted to be the state auditor, and what the state auditor actually does here in Massachusetts. So first and foremost, I am Diana DiZoglio. I am your state auditor here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I was born in Methuen. I still live in Methuen. I did move around quite a bit during my childhood, mostly between the communities of Lawrence and Methuen, depending on where my mom could find work as a young nurse's aide at the time while I was growing up. I ended up going through the public school system here and graduating and going off to Middlesex Community College, which is obviously local to Lowell. I went to both the Lowell and the Bedford campuses. And during those years, worked at the United Teen Equality Center, helping as their cultural arts coordinator. I served at Girls Inc. in Lowell and their after-school programs, and really love my Lowell roots and my Merrimack Valley roots. My home is very near and dear to my heart, and I always wanted to serve our community, and I didn't really know how I was going to do that, but I always thought I was actually going to end up working in youth services or working in community services in some way, maybe through a nonprofit, for example. But my first job actually out of college was working up at the State House in Boston. And I'd been given this opportunity working for a state representative. And I had no idea at that time what a state representative did. Full disclosure, went to go work at the State House, didn't really understand how state government operated. It's why I've been such a passionate advocate for civic education in public schools. But I ended up learning through that work about all the great things that government can do for our local communities, such as investing in public education, transportation, access to healthcare, working on social justice issues. The list goes on and on. I also, during that short time working in state government, learned about the flip side of how our government can operate. And I learned about the tremendous lack of transparency, accountability, equity, and accessibility that exist across our state government that allow for the disenfranchisement of working families like ours right here in the Merrimack Valley. And I really developed a passion for advocating for those issues. I ended up running for office subsequently myself, running for state representative. I served 6 years in the House of Representatives. I served 4 years as a state senator. And during that time, really fought hard for our community to bring back financial resources, to help our community centers, to help with our education, to help with our transportation and infrastructure, and a number of causes locally. I also worked to pass legislation that was not only important to the Merrimack Valley, but important to the entire Commonwealth, especially as it pertains to issues surrounding transparency, accountability, equity. And this position of state auditor opened up, and I really did a lot of soul searching and really looked at the work that the auditor's office does, and fell in love with the work of the auditor's office and decided to make a run for the seat, which is a statewide seat. And I have to say that I'm so grateful to have recently been elected in November of 2022, excuse me, to this position. And I'm just coming out of my first year in office, and have learned so much about the needs across the Commonwealth as it pertains to things related to our taxpayer dollars and the use of our taxpayer dollars, processes and procedures across state government. A lot of folks might think that state auditor is someone who is an auditor of you and your financial resources. But the good news is, friends, I do not audit any of you. I am not the IRS. I do not look at your taxes or your tax returns. And I do not audit any of local families in our communities. I actually audit our government for you. I audit our state government to make sure that the tax dollars that you pay into the system are actually being expended appropriately, used efficiently, used effectively, that the processes and procedures that you pay for through your tax dollars in these government agencies, that if they're not operating correctly, that our office works to highlight the problematic areas for the purposes of helping make government work better for all of us. We think about departments like the Department of Children and Families, where our local children in need really rely on the services being provided to them that are so needed. We take a look at DCF, we audit their programs, we audit their functions, and we report back on how to augment services in that agency. The MBTA, I know nobody's heard about that, wink, wink. Of course, everybody's heard of the challenges with the MBTA, right? Unfortunately, we have trains catching on fire, we have constant derailments, we have, folks being concerned with their public safety when they're getting on their public transportation route for the morning. That's not okay. We need to do better here in Massachusetts. Our office is conducting a safety and performance audit of the MBTA to help to identify issues and challenges and ways to fill the gaps that exist in that system. The list goes on, but we do look at waste, fraud, and abuse across the board, as well as it pertains to how tax dollars may be being misappropriated. And we do so with the purpose and the intent of being able to protect your tax dollars so that they're not wasted. But also, when we think about things, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? I think most of us growing up heard that at one point or another, maybe quite often from some of our family members. I know I did, but a penny saved really is a penny earned, right? When we think about the needed investments and a lot of these important things that we care about that can help families in our communities. So we are working hard in the Office of State Auditor to guard your tax dollars, to increase accountability around how they're being spent, make sure they're not being misappropriated, and where they are being misappropriated, to highlight that and to demand accountability so that we can save money for you, the taxpayer, and so that we can make sure the government is working at its best for all of us.
Right. I did see that you were the taxpayer's ally. So with that, how do we show our regular citizens how we can keep track or show transparency in what the auditor's office does?
So I think that educational opportunities like this are amazing. That's why I'm so grateful to the Lowellian for the invitation today, because like you were saying, it's something where a lot of people don't really even know that the office even exists, right? Because you hear auditor and most people go running in the other direction. They're like, whoa, I don't want to hear about that, right? Because you think about the negative connotations associated with auditing, that it's something bad, that it's something that is going to make people get in trouble. But our office actually exists, like I said, to audit the government for you, to make sure that we're trying to save you money. So audits are actually a really good thing, and they are really helpful in, identifying problematic areas for folks so that they can fix them, not so that we can, shame people. And it's not about that. What it's about is making government work better by identifying gaps so that we can fix them. We can't fix issues if we don't know they exist, right? So we work to identify issues and then say, hey, let's work together to address these things and make things work better for our community and for those these programs are meant to serve. So I think educational opportunities like this and just awareness campaigns like this are incredibly important. And I always invite folks to contact my office if they want to raise concerns to us, if they know about challenging aspects of different state agencies, departments, or offices, so that our office is aware of anything that is going on that maybe shouldn't be going on, or if they think that something needs to be analyzed. We're always happy to have those conversations. Most of our ideas come from the community, and most of the things that we audit and actually look at come from grassroots. Folks contacting us and saying, hey, we have concerns about one area or another. Our auditors in our office, we have a staff of over 200 folks across the state. 5 different offices across the state. And folks want to meet with residents and make sure that we're connecting with all of you to hear your concerns and to implement them into the work that we do.
Okay. So 1 year into the position, do you still like your job?
I love it. I love it even more than the first day.
Yeah.
It took a while to get acclimated to running an organization of this size, right? I am so blessed to have so many great staffers around me who stayed over from the last administration from my predecessor, who stayed on our team and kept up with the audits that needed to be continued. And then I'm so grateful that we had new team members join as well to bring the work of the office to the next level, and that we were able to do this work alongside of our amazing transition team that helped us to get acclimated to the transition process of just getting elected, getting into the office, meeting everybody, meeting all the staff, understanding how all of the different departments within our organization actually ran and functioned. So there was definitely a long learning period. I still learn every day, but I will say that now that it's been a little over a year, certainly we are in the swing of things, so to speak, and I'm really excited about the work that we're doing and looking forward to releasing some important audits soon that we've committed to doing to, again, shine a light in the dark places of state government and help make government work better.
Right. And what has been your biggest challenge so far?
I would say getting the legislature to want to cooperate with the audit that we are conducting of our state legislature for the purposes of helping to increase transparency, accountability, equity, and accessibility. Unfortunately, legislative leaders seem to think that they are above the law in terms of abiding by what it says regarding audits, and our office seeks to provide a resource in identifying gaps in systems, right? That's what our office does. And we understand that not everybody's pulling out the pom-poms and cheerleading for us when we come into their organization saying, oh, yay, you're going to look through our books and find things that are potentially wrong with the organization. But they do, by and large, generally speaking, understand the value in that approach and the value in conducting these audits, a value that is frankly invaluable to taxpayers, right? That we help to safeguard taxpayers and make sure there's no funny business going on. And then we can report on where there may be challenges, and maybe there is no funny business, but maybe it's just, hey, there are some discrepancies with this financial statement and what actually is still in your account, for example, right? So we help to rectify some of those challenges in different organizations and agencies. And it's just unfortunate that legislative leaders don't want to participate in that process, that they have, just essentially thrown their hands up and said, we're not participating. We don't think that we have to. We set our own rules. I don't think that that serves the taxpayers. I don't think that that's something that really serves anybody besides themselves. And that has been a challenge to navigate. When I ran for this position, I very clearly articulated that if I was elected, I was going to audit the legislature as part of my commitments made to voters across the Commonwealth. We were very loud about that, did commercials that included holding folks accountable on Beacon Hill. And that was something that was brought up time and time again throughout the campaign to the point where anybody paying attention would know that that is something that I committed to doing. So when I won the election and got elected, I have very much since viewed it as a mandate on me to fulfill the promises that I made during that campaign. And this was a big one, right? So we want to make sure that we are fulfilling the obligations that we have to taxpayers by following the law, which the law says we're supposed to be auditing all of these, entities, and there are over 200 every 3 years. All means all. So we have one department of the Commonwealth who thinks that all doesn't include them, and that just happens to be our legislature right now. So I do find it unfortunate. It's been quite challenging to navigate that. We've been really, working hard to still complete our audit without their cooperation. And unfortunately, the audit that we produce is going to lack some of the information that we very much would like to include in there for taxpayers. Because they're not participating in this process at all. So we can't get access to documents that we need for the sake of transparency for the Commonwealth. So I am simultaneously working on a ballot question that is going to likely be presented to voters in November of 2024 this year. When you go to vote in that general election, it will be on your ballot most likely. And the question posed to voters is, whether or not the state auditor should have the express authority to audit the state legislature. Obviously, I really want to be able to do the job I committed to doing fully on your behalf. I can't do that without your support, though. So, we're looking forward to November to hopefully that passing, and for the Office of State Auditor to get full access to what's happening with our taxpayer dollars up on Beacon Hill, to help to open up state government, which is frequently ranked, by the way, as the least transparent state government in the entire nation by most good government groups. I fully think that folks should have access to what's happening with their tax dollars up on Beacon Hill, and that it shouldn't be as problematic as it is to get access to that information.
In Lowell, we're seeing a wave of younger politicians stepping forward to challenge incumbents. What advice do you have for the younger folks stepping in and wanting to come into politics?
Yeah, look, when I ran for office, people were laughing at me. I, was very much dismissed by the insider Beacon Hill crowd. Even when I was door knocking for the state rep seat years ago, when I was in my 20s, I had a man pat me on the head and say, "It's so cute that you think you can win." I had another person slam the door in my face after saying something to the effect of, "Don't you have to be at least 18 to run for office?" And laugh at me. And I was in my, later 20s at the time, so I wasn't that young, but I did experience the challenges of running for office at a younger age and as a newcomer. I was very much called the political newcomer in my race. I was challenging a 14-year incumbent when I ran. It was not an easy race. And I can tell you that when I ended up actually winning that seat, it was still challenging even after being elected. I was the youngest woman elected that was serving in the House of Representatives at that time. Then when I moved to the state Senate and got elected to the Senate, I was the youngest woman serving in the Senate, not just my first year, but for the entire 4 years that I was in the state Senate, I was the youngest woman serving during that entire time. Moving on to this seat, I am the youngest statewide constitutional officer in the state of Massachusetts. So I can say, look, I'm all about younger people stepping up. I am all about, empowering younger people to take action. And I am excited by the fact that so many younger people want to get involved. Follow your heart. Don't let people talk down to you or patronize you or, accuse you of not understanding different things. I would say, having that internal confidence is very, very important. But it doesn't just necessarily come to all of us who experience imposter syndrome. I know I do. I have through the years, where you're surrounded by people who like to let you know that they think they know more than you, or that they're more intelligent than you, or that they're more qualified or established than you are. And, some folks like to find any way to try to put you down and to put your beliefs down. I would say be true to yourself and surround yourself with people who are going to be uplifting and encouraging. And if you don't have anybody to encourage you, encourage yourself. I always quote Benjamin Franklin back to myself as a reminder, and it is do what you can, where you are, with what you have. You have everything you need to succeed. But you got to do what you can, where you are, with what you have. A lot of people think you have to wait till you get a certain this or a certain that, or till you have more money. Look, I ran for office with very, very little money, with a lot of people not wanting to donate to my campaign because they were nervous about who would see them donating to me and if the incumbent at the time would be angry at them. And, I understand that, certainly. But when I ran for office, look, we had to find creative ways to get out there, get the message out there. And I burned through the soles of my sneakers back then to knock on doors. Truly, they put the bottom of my sneaker on the front page of the Eagle Tribune. I know you guys have the Lowell Sun there, but I would say Eagle Tribune is in the Lawrence area and beyond in this area in the Merrimack Valley. And I remember when we won the election, people were so shocked and they were like, well, how did you do it? Because you don't really have that much money and you're a newcomer and you came out of nowhere, in their opinion. And I showed them my shoes and I said, well, I've been out for months knocking on doors and talking to people and telling them about my vision for the community. And I was so humbled that people actually voted for me and voted for my platform. And I've been working hard ever since to represent them well. And now the population of people I represent has grown tremendously. But it's been years and years and years of working alongside of people from our communities, of listening, of speaking, of working, of all of these things. And, I do it because it's what my heart feels called to do. I love my community. I want to invest in it in this way. And I would just say, not to sound corny, but follow your heart. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. And again, do what you can where you are with what you have.
Thank you. And one last question. Is there
Sure.
anything you would like our watchers at home to know about you? Anything else?
Well, everybody's been joking with me now because of a Boston Magazine article that was out that exposed the fact that I do ice baths. And I do ice baths. I love them. I started doing ice baths. I don't know the exact time frame ago, but recently. And I absolutely love it. I will do an ice bath from like 4 to 10 minutes, generally speaking. And it's great. It's refreshing. It's exhilarating. It wakes me up. It boosts the serotonin levels, all of those things. And it toughens you up too. Since we do live in a cold climate, it does toughen you up and it gets you ready for the day. And I would say something that it's not even necessarily that I want you to know about me, but I think it's a fun fact, right? Because we talk about all these politics. Fun fact, I like to do ice baths. It's pretty cool, haha, pun intended. And highly encourage them or highly encourage doing them for anybody looking for a new fun activity that boosts serotonin and endorphins and stuff like that. Obviously, talk to your doctor. I'm not a healthcare expert, but for whoever it's safe for, they're pretty great. They get me motivated and exhilarated for the day and keep me going. People tell me I have a lot of energy, and I say, well, it's probably the 2 to 3 cups of coffee in the morning, but that alongside of the ice bath.
I think we have different definitions of fun, but that's a good trivia question.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun stuff. But look, I love living here in the Merrimack Valley. I'm so humbled to have the opportunity, again, to be your youngest constitutional officer. I'm working really, really hard on behalf of all residents, especially those who have been disenfranchised from the process, who feel as though their voices haven't been heard. I believe it's time for working everyday families in Massachusetts to have a seat at the table again. For too long, a lot of everyday families have been dismissed, ignored, and disenfranchised from a system in state government that's not working for all of us the way that it could and the way that it should. And we're working hard to change the status quo in the Office of State Auditor by shining a light in those dark areas of state government, advocating and working alongside of you to change things that need to be changed based on those audit results. And we can't do that without working alongside of you and without hearing from you. So please feel free to contact us anytime. You can reach me at auditor@massauditor.gov. And I'd love to hear from you. And of course, hope to see many of you around the Merrimack Valley soon. You can find me in downtown Lowell, hopping around, skipping around from restaurant to restaurant, especially at the Lowell Folk Festival. So I'll see y'all probably before then, but I'll probably see you there too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to come and hang out with us here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and so we're going to sign off now. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Lowellian. Today we were speaking with our state auditor, Diana DiZoglio, and we will see you next episode.